Welcome back to another episode of E&Ftv. Today we are joined by the brilliant Sarah Monk, who is the Commercial Director over at Focus Hotels. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you, Tom. This is great. I've been watching your episodes over the last few weeks, and actually I've seen one of my old colleagues on there as well. So yeah, it's good. And so thank you for inviting me.
No, thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule at the moment. I know you are extremely busy. A lot of people obviously on the show start off with their background, how they came into revenue management, and of course how they got into the role they're in now. So please take us through that. I'd be really interested to understand what your background is.
Yeah, so like you say, I'm a commercial director at Focus Hotels. We're a management company. My career path started a long time ago, and I was on an extended holiday in the US mid-teens, and I was very fortunate enough to stay in quite a few hotels. And, you know, when you're watching the teams in hotels and you're seeing what's going on, and I thought, you know what, that looks a little bit of a fun job. It doesn't look that much like hard work. So when I returned to the UK, I joined catering college because I really did not know what I was going to do. And then from catering college, I got my first role as duty receptionist on the front desk with QMH. I worked with QMH for a few years and got as far as I could, really, over a couple of hotels. And then, I was head receptionist, front office, reservations. We didn't really have revenue in those days. It was either reservations or senior reservations or reservations manager. So that was really my path at that stage. And I got to work for Principal Hotels and Swallow Hotels. I moved different markets and different cities. And actually, at one stage, I thought, well, it's not actually the new city that I'm after now. It's a new department. I'd gotten really as far as I could, and I was really interested in the big conferences and special events and meetings. So at that stage, I was lucky enough to get a job with Forte Hotels. Now, Forte Hotels had second-to-none training programs in sales and revenue in those days. So I had fantastic mentors. I worked with the most amazing general managers. So after a few years, I'd really learned as much as I could in that whole wider environment. Excuse me. So then if we fast forward to really the last 10 years, which is much more relevant to where I am now, I've been working in multi-branded management company environments. So I've been able to work hand in hand with commercial specialists from Hilton, Accor, Starwood Hotels, Marriott Hotels, IHG, Wyndham Worldwide, and Best Western. So I've learned a heck of a lot. I've learned from the best. I've worked with the best, all the tricks, and that then meant that I was learning every day, which is something that I think is really quite important in every industry. And then not only working with those brands, I was lucky enough in the management companies to work with domestic brands and independent hotels, large conference hotels that don't have that big badge above the door, which is harder, for those to get that awareness. So I was part of the support team for the iconic Midland Hotel in Manchester, and then some complex hotels, golf and spa resorts such as Slaley Hall in the northeast, Mottram Hall, beautiful Mottram Hall in Cheshire, and then converting hotels as well from those independent statuses to brands. So RBH, who I worked with at that time, managed the Q Hotel portfolio, and we converted several of their hotels from the domestic brand into DoubleTree by Hilton. So it was working closely with that Hilton onboarding team, working closely with the hotel team, the commercial team, just to make sure everything worked as seamlessly as possible, and then within the management company as well. And then in addition to that, I've also supported quite a lot of new openings, which is tough, it's hard work. But again, really quite exciting, especially when, you're seeing your first floods of pipeline coming in that you can work on and really convert with the rest of the commercial team. So I've done that with Marriott, IHG, Hilton. and a core from Inverness down to Glasgow to Manchester to London. So that's really how I've got to where I am now. So it's been a bit busy, but I feel as though I've got a really good diverse experience. And so that's been really a really exciting 20 plus years, 30 years maybe. I'll skirt over that.
No, definitely. I think this is why I was so keen to obviously get you on the show, because your background is so diverse. I suppose with your experience, obviously, over the years now, and obviously the different departments you've had exposure to, what do you believe the future of the departments of revenue, sales, marketing, what do they look like?
Well, that's a really great question. And it's a question I've been asking myself for the last 12 to 18 months, to be honest with you, but absolutely more so the last 4 months for sure. And I think, I keep hearing the word hybrid, if you will, and the teams as they come back from furlough, when we've already got someone back now over the last week or so, we had already in Focus Hotels put things in place to ensure that we're supporting the development of all our specialists, so they're not just working in their own little boxes, whether that is revenue, sales, e-commerce, marketing. I think absolutely as well, with everything that's going on to support the recovery, it's that one team ethos. And I know that happens everywhere, but I think to actually be physically able and literally able to support each other with that one team, and we all have our same objectives. We all have the same thing, as to earn profitable business for our owners, and just make sure that the recovery's there. But actually, it's sorry, I've lost my train of thought. I do apologise. It's just to make sure that everyone's got that commercial acumen and they're not working in silo. So it's that same objective, but we're all working together. Sure.
I think it's one of these things that I keep hearing on all these webinars and chats and things like that, is get rid of the silos. I was having a chat with somebody a long while ago about the hybrid role, what that means. And I suppose with regards to my focus being revenue management, it's less of, for me anyway, in my opinion, it's less of a hybrid role and more of the expectation of a revenue manager has just changed so much over the last 5-10 years. It's a lot less of that pure data techie type person moving into a more wider commercial view that's able to communicate.
Absolutely.
That's one of the biggest skill sets that anybody's looking for now in revenue management, is can they communicate? If they can't communicate, they're not going to be able to talk to their GMs. They're not going to be able to get to convey to their stakeholders why the strategies are in place. And I've always sort of come back to, maybe it's moving away from this hybrid terminology and moving into a new, not even just revenue manager, commercial manager, whatever that turns into.
Yeah. And equally, yes, certainly for revenue, but for the other functions as well. I think long gone are the days where a director of sales will just go out there and drive sales. They have to have that commercial acumen. And if they're all working together, and having those same discussions, and, it's all about that debate and coming to that same end result. But I think, that to support the development of our teams is absolutely critical. And all COVID have done for us with regards to our development is just accelerate it, because we were on that pathway already. And the teams are really appreciating it. And during furlough, we can still ask people to do training modules, and there's been an awful lot of that going on at back of house as well. So that's really focused our team that, they're ready for returning, and not just they're ready for returning, but they've got new skills as well.
No, that's brilliant. I mean, I know that you've been incredibly busy and continue to work throughout sort of lockdown. So what have you been doing to support, obviously, Focus Hotels?
Yeah, so you're right, I have worked throughout. It's been quite a long, 14 or 15 weeks now. And we've been really, really lucky that we've been able to open or reopen 75% of our portfolio from as early as Easter. So 1 or 2 of our hotels were actually literally closed for about 12 days. And we've even reached the dizzy heights of 80% occupancy, which is a fantastic success. We weren't expecting, but wow, we've worked really, really hard to get there. Our general managers in the hotels and their teams They've had a real hard slog to, make sure all the new processes are in place and our operating procedures are as they should. And us as a management company, we're making sure that we're giving them all the correct guidelines, and we're putting those new processes in place, and we're checking things with them and really, really fine tuning. And of course, we've already discussed this before, that sometimes not even every week is completely different, but one day is completely different from the previous ones, with the new rules and regulations and what we are and are not permitted to do. But I think because we've got those hotels that have been open for quite a while already, we're extremely well versed in our new world, operationally and commercially, which means that we're a step ahead of our competitors in our own micro market, because we've got that confidence that we know what we can deliver and what we can't deliver. We've got really good menus in place as well now, which, is already an improvement on what we were allowed to deliver 3 weeks ago. So yeah, it has been busy. I've also been looking at new revenue systems. We've talked to new software people ourselves. Some really quite exciting stuff going on out there and being developed. So that's been really, really exciting to look to the future with new sophisticated systems that we could really wed into. And then new landing pages for websites, and just really robust procedures and processes that when everybody is returned, it puts us in a really strong place in our own marketplaces locally.
Definitely. When you said you were working and you were incredibly busy, you weren't joking. That much is very clear.
Yeah, very fast paced, believe it or not. Yeah.
So tell us, obviously myself and of course the audience, what's been going on at Focus at the moment? Is there anything going on that's, interesting, exciting, anything like that at the moment?
Yeah, so we're onboarding new hotels from a commercial support perspective as we speak. We've had a few calls this week with upgraded PMS systems in those hotels that are just joining us, and we're really looking forward to working with the great teams that are in those hotels to support their development, and give them the new tools. And I think that will really support that hotel and their recovery. It was really good timing, and they came to us asking us for help, and we've done all our due diligence, we've done all our reports and everything during all this, and really supporting them. So yes, it is still, the world still turns. We've still got these big projects bubbling away. We're working really closely with Hilton. We're working really closely with the teams at Accor, just to make sure that our global branded hotels are utilizing all the superb things that those brands are doing for us at the moment, with Clean Stay and All Clean and all of those things, just to absolutely give not just our customers confidence, but it's important that our teams actually feel confident coming into the workplace as well. And then, like I say, I've made sure that our teams that are on furlough are continuing on their pathway of development, and they've completed lots of modules. So with regards to projects, and I think with our new hotels, new systems, processes that, and software and redefined processes, with all those initiatives, that it's not just supporting recovery post-COVID, however long that takes, but it's actually going to support delivering that profitable business for our owners, which is absolutely critical.
Definitely. Sarah, again, thank you so much for obviously taking the time out of your schedule. I know how busy you are at the moment.
Everybody's busy. Look, we're all busy. It's just, yeah.
It's true. But thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No, thank you.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Please take a look at who's on next week's episode. Out.